Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today in this video, we will go through few practice questions on Microsoft certification AZ-900. So let's start. So when a Microsoft Entra user connects to Microsoft Entra from the internet using an anonymous IP address, you would like that user to be automatically required to change their password. Now, which Microsoft Entra feature should you use to set this? So the answer to this would be Microsoft Entra Identity Protection. Okay. And to study more on this, go to this site of Microsoft Build, and here on this topic Microsoft Entra ID protection, they have clearly mentioned like what is identity protection, what type of risks it detects and it investigates, how to remediate these risks, right? Okay, so and within this, if you see, they have clearly written Microsoft continually adds and updates detections in our catalog to protect organizations. These detections come from learning based on the analysis of trillions of signals each day from Active Directory, Microsoft accounts, and in gaming with Xbox. This broad range of signals help identity protection detect risky behaviors like anonymous IP address usage. So this is what we are talking about. Password spray attacks, leaked credentials, and more. During each sign-in, identity protection runs all real-time in time sign-in detections, generating a sign-in session risk level, indicating how likely the sign-in is compromised. Based on this risk level, policies are then applied to protect the user and the organization. Okay, so do read this topic. I will leave the links of all the topics in the description of this video. So second question is, which of the following statements regarding the cost of using the Azure cloud is correct? So of all these options, if you clearly read, like first one is Azure offers flexibility on CapEx and operating expenditure, that is OpEx. If you create two Azure virtual machines of the same size, the monthly usage fee for each virtual machine will be exactly the same. If you stop an Azure virtual machine, you don't have to pay for the storage associated with the virtual machine. Azure support can help you identify unused resources that can be deleted. So only option one is correct, because see, cloud services like Azure offer the flexibility to align system costs from the capital expenditure to operational expenditure. For example, let's say you have cost of data center equipment, which would normally mean the purchasing of physical servers, and it is kind of capital expenditure. However, if you launch virtual servers on Azure, it is possible to convert this capital expenditure to operational expenditure, hence the flexibility. Option 2 is incorrect, because two virtual machines on Azure of the same size do not always have the same monthly cost, because price depends on the region, on the size, right? So it can always be different. Option 3 is incorrect, because even if you shut down your virtual machine, Azure virtual machine, you will continue to be charged for storage costs if you don't stop this storage. Option 4 is incorrect, because Azure Advisor informs you of unused resources that can be removed from use. It is only just the information, right? Nothing else. So yeah, first one is the right answer. And if you want to study more on this, there's a blog, okay, and where you can read like how the industry is shifting from capex to opex using the cloud. Okay, so do read this. Okay, going back, question 3, when should you scale out your deployment? Okay, so when should you scale out your deployment? Now for this, you have basically from Microsoft only, scaling up versus scaling out. So here they are talking about vertical scaling, and which is nothing but your scaling up or down when you increase or decrease computing power, right? And horizontal scaling or scaling out or in, where you add more databases or divide your large databases into smaller nodes using a data partitioning approach called sharding, which can be managed faster and more easily across servers. So this talks about when you have to scale up vertically, and this talks about when you have to scale out horizontally. Okay. So you have like maxed out your performance requirements even in the highest performance tiers of your service, or if your data cannot fit into a single. So obviously when you need your additional virtual machines or computers to speed up your applications, so definitely option is to scale out, and you can by scaling out divide your large database into smaller nodes, and that way sharding approach will help you out. Okay, so the answer is A. Then, if you go to question 4, you are the architect of ABC organization and the senior management has asked you to migrate all on-prem resources to the cloud. Now, the requirement is that only platform as a service solution must be used in Azure. Now, solution which is suggested is to begin, you create an Azure app service and Azure SQL databases. Would this meet the goal? Okay. So now one thing is remember that Azure App Service and Azure SQL databases, these are both platform as a service solutions, right? So yeah, definitely this will meet the goal. Okay, because Azure App Service, what it does is, so if you go here, Azure App Service, what it does is, it quickly build, deploy, and scale web apps and APIs on your terms. Work with .NET Core, Node, Java, Python, or PHP in containers or running on Windows or Linux, right? Meet rigorous enterprise grade performance and security and compliance requirements with a trusted fully managed service that handles more than 60 billion requests per day. Okay, so this app service is useful. And then you have Azure SQL database also. Okay, this is a Microsoft Azure SQL database, and it is managed as a cloud database provided as a part of Microsoft Azure. So a cloud database is a database that runs on a cloud computing platform, and access to it is provided as a service. So managed database services take care of scalability, backup, and high availability of the database. Okay, more about this, you can always read this, and you have overview, features, security, pricing, customer story, resources, FAQ, pay, create a pay as you go account. So these are all, Azure cloud services. So yes, these are platform as a service solutions, and this will meet our goal. Now, Azure Cloud Shell allows access to the CLI and PowerShell consoles in the Azure portal. Okay, so the answer to is this is true. And if we go here, this is where we can study more on what is Azure Cloud Shell, right? So Azure Cloud Shell is an interactive authenticated browser accessible terminal for managing Azure resources. It provides the flexibility of choosing the shell experience that best suits the way you work, either Bash or PowerShell. And there are multiple access points. So if you see CLI is one, PowerShell is another one, right? So yeah, so these both are available. So the answer is true. Now going to sixth question, which of the following factors can affect the availability of an Azure service under the SLA, that is service level agreement. Okay, so basically service level agreement for Azure services guarantees a certain level of availability, which is expressed as a percentage of uptime over a specific period of time. But let's say certain factors can affect the availability of an Azure service even if it is covered under the SLA. Okay, but which of these can affect the availability under the SLA is the question. And if you see these bottom three, planned maintenance activities, hardware or software failures within Azure, natural disasters. So these three are covered under SLA of an Azure service. But this first one, network disruptions outside of Azure, since these are outside of Azure, they never come into picture in the SLA. Okay, because this is something which you or customer have to take care of. Now, Azure PowerShell scripts and command line interface, that is CLI scripts, are entirely compatible with each other. No, PowerShell is its own language and it is different than CLI. So the answer is false. And you can come here and study more on this. So you have that choosing the right tooling for Azure, and side by side Azure CLI and PowerShell commands. So here they have listed CLI command versus PowerShell command for all login and subscription commands, for list location resources commands, for creating a resource group, VM storage commands, for managing VMs commands. Okay, so all this is mentioned over here. Go through this also, which is very useful, and the answer is false here. Now, what is the name of the group of services inside Azure that hosts the Apache Hadoop Big Data Analysis tools? Okay, so again, the answer over here is HD Insight, which is a collection of open source Apache Hadoop tools. If you want to know more on this, you can always come here into Azure Products, Azure HD Insight. Here you can read like run what it does is it run popular open source frameworks including Apache Hadoop, Spark, Hive, Kafka, and more using Azure HD Insight, right? You can effortlessly process massive amounts of data and get all the benefits of the broad open source project ecosystem with the global scale of Azure. Easily migrate your big data workloads and processing to the cloud. So here they have mentioned like open source ecosystem, which it can take care of, right? So do go through this as well. And then let's move to next question. Which tool within the Azure portal will make specific recommendations based on your actual usage for how you can improve your use of Azure? So the answer to this is Azure Advisor. Okay, and to know more on this, do read this documentation on Microsoft Build. It talks about introduction to Azure Advisor. What is Advisor? Advisor is a digital cloud assistant that helps you follow best practices to optimize your Azure deployments. With Advisor, you can get proactive, actionable, and personalized best practices recommendations, right? So get recommendations with proposed action in line as well. So do read this article. Okay, let's go to next question. You are building an application using Azure virtual machines as a security requirement. At that time, it is necessary to apply Azure multi-factor authentication, that is MFA, based on certain conditions. Which Azure service should you choose from this? Again, the option here, the answer would be Microsoft Entra ID protection. Okay, this we have talked about in the first question. Okay, so you can read more on that. And also remember that with the Microsoft Entra Identity Protection, you can enforce multi-factor authentication conditions during during user authentication. Okay, so do read that. In the first one, we have gone through that. What is identity protection? Here you can study more on that MFA. Okay, multi-factor authentication. Let's go to next question. So please select an option to fill in the blank below. Dash provides a command platform for deploying objects to your cloud infrastructure and maintaining consistency across your Azure environment. So the answer to this is Azure Resource Manager. So if you go here, so this talks about Azure Resource Manager, how you want to deploy app resources, organize resources, control access to resources. Do study this, simplify how you manage your app resources. So basically, you want to maintain command platform, right, for deploying objects. So everything is maintained by Azure Resource Manager. You have been asked by senior management to prepare a presentation describing not only the benefits but also the estimated cost savings you can realize by migrating your workloads to Azure. As the lead architect, which service would you use for these calculations? So this is a very important question, because obviously when you are trying to move to Azure cloud, you want to know, right, how much would be the estimated cost savings. So you have this Azure total cost of ownership calculator, and this is available, I think, here, total cost of ownership calculator. So this is where you can calculate your ownership cost. You can define your workload, databases, storage, servers, networking, and then calculate the cost savings. You plan to extend your company's network to Azure as a hybrid cloud. In the on-premises environment, a VPN appliance with an IP address of 136.168.103.1 is used. And if it is necessary to identify this VPN appliance on the Azure site, which is the best solution for that? Okay, so answer to this is local network gateway. Now what happens is a local network gateway can be used to specify the IP address of the VPN device for your virtual network, and this allows Azure to identify the VPN appliance using the IP address 136.168.103.1. Okay, and if you want to study more on this local gateway, so here if you come here, tutorial create a site-to-site VPN connection in the Azure portal, and here you can read more on this. Create a gateway subnet, create a VPN gateway, create a gateway, and then the main thing, create a local network gateway, which we talked about, like how to create and what IP address you have to import, right? So all these things you can study. So yes, correct answer is local network gateway. Your organization has an on-premise infrastructure. The requirement from senior management is to migrate everything to the cloud. As an advisor, what would you recommend to deal with an unexpected Azure outage in a data center or availability zone? Okay, so again, um, what happens is there are several mechanisms built into the Microsoft Azure to ensure services and applications remain available in the event of a failure. Now, such failures can include hardware failures like hard disk crashes or temporary availability issues of dependent services such as storage or networking services. Now, Azure and its software controlled infrastructure are written in a way to anticipate and manage such failures. Now, in the event of failure, Azure infrastructure, that is your fabric controller, reacts immediately to restore services and infrastructure. Okay. So, for example, let's say if your virtual machine fails due to hardware failure on the physical host, what Fabric Controller will do is it will move that VM to another physical node based on the same hard disk stored in Azure storage. Okay, so such kind of coordination, is possible using Azure. Okay, so the answer over here would be fault tolerance. Okay, and if you want to read more on this, you have here introducing Azure availability zones for resilience and high availability. So do read this blog. Okay, here you will come to know more about the Azure availability zones, right? Okay, now let's go to next question. It is possible to store a resource in a different region than the region of the resource group. So the answer to this is yes, true. Why the region of the resource group can be different from the region of the resource. Always remember that. And the resource group is only for storing the metadata. And if you want to read more on this Azure resource groups, you can come here and read this manage Azure resource groups by using the Azure portal. Here it talks about what is a resource group, how you can create that, how you can list that, how you can delete that, how you have to deploy resources to a resource group, move to another resource group or subscription, lock your resource group, right? So please read all these topics as well. Okay, that's it, guys. Thank you for your time and see you in new video.